From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. America. I am Keith Allen and proudly welcoming you to this Wednesday's edition of For the People. We broadcast daily from Tampa, Florida, is where we do our show here. Then it goes out on satellite to radio stations across the country. As a matter of fact, where you're listening to, we appreciate the station carrying the show as usual, or you might be listening to us live on forthepeopleshow.com. But nevertheless, Tampa, Florida is where we're doing the program, and our governor is saying things like, Irma is bigger than Andrew. He had a press conference earlier, and he's telling us that we need to be aggressive in planning for the approach of a monster storm. He says we're going to have rain, we're going to have storm surge. He says we don't know where it will hit, likely Fort Myers and Naples, as in Miami. The Keys are already evacuating. Storm's going to bring a lot of wind, a lot of rain, and storm surge, and water could cover your house. So I want everybody to understand the importance of this. This is bigger than Andrew. It will have more storm surge than Andrew, and it sure looks like it will barrel right down the middle of the state of Florida. Andrew, which hit South Florida in the middle of the night on August 24th, 1992. Some of you might remember that, and that was one of just 3 Category 5 hurricanes to make landfall in the United States, according to USA Today. The storm killed 65 people and caused $27 billion in damages, folks. And so our governor has said that this storm, folks, Irma is bigger than Andrew. Irma, already a Category 5 hurricane, has sustained winds of 185 miles per hour, gust up to 200 miles an hour, folks, gusts that high. Wednesday afternoon, forecasters call for the storm to head north of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, meaning the storm will cause strong winds, heavy rains, but will spare them for the direct hit. Irma is expected to approach mainland Florida and the Keys Sunday morning. Our governor, Rick Scott, a little bit earlier, informing us of the approaching storm and the preparations needed to take place here in this state.
It continues to come near our state. Everyone must listen to their local officials. Listen to your local officials on the evacuations. Individuals with special needs will be evacuated from Miami beginning this morning. Miami-Dade County officials are also advising residents living in low-lying areas to start evacuating today. I cannot stress this enough. Do not ignore evacuation orders. Remember, we can rebuild your home, but we cannot rebuild your life.
I think that was a great line. We can rebuild your home, but not your life. There's a lot of people, for whatever reason, and I understand you've got your house the way you want it, and you love your house, and you got all your things. I get all that, but people are funny about stuff like that. They will risk even their lives. They just can't imagine not having anything that is nice anymore. They can't imagine their life without all those things. And I think to myself, there really is nothing that I own that I just couldn't walk away from. I love my studio, love my toys, but they don't love me back. I can get stuff back. I can get furniture back. It's just things, folks. Come on. But some people, they will just wait it out, and just like we've seen images, sadly, in so many different storms, so many people in Texas and Louisiana, they braved it out. Now, many of them, when interviewed, asked, why they didn't heed the evacuation order. A lot of them would tell them they didn't have the money. They didn't have the money to leave. They didn't have anywhere to go. There's shelters to go to, folks. There's places to go. I know some people, they don't want to bring their families there, and they don't want to be around perfect strangers, and I can understand that. But there are high schools and schools that will have shelters that will be staffed, and you can choose your shelter, and you can, like our governor said earlier today during the press conference, that you can kind of specify what your needs are and match your family's needs with the particular shelter. And also if you have an animal with you. Some people are worried that they can't take their animal and they have to leave the animal behind. There's a lot of shelters that are animal friendly that you can bring your animal to the shelter. So they understand that and they're ready for that. We saw that in Texas at the convention center where certain rooms were allowed their pets and reptiles and just whatever they would call pet, they would bring with them. So we understand they're members of the family and the provisions have been made. So, don't leave your pet behind. A lot of pets died in Texas or got stranded. Yeah, don't do that. Bring them with you, and your kids will never forgive you. One lady said she came back to her house and was waterlogged, and she was hoping to find her cat alive. And so they said, well, why didn't you bring your cat with you? And she said the cat was hiding when we couldn't find him, and we had to get out. So we don't know if that particular kitty that she was talking about actually ever survived, but maybe the cat's somewhere, and that would be really, really good news if that was the fact. Have you been out looking for water? I tell you what, you gotta be patient if you can't find any. Little tip, call the manager and just ask when they think the next shipment will come in. Usually they know about what time the truck's going to come. You say, everybody's going to do that. Well, if they got, 50, 60 cases or whatever, they're going to have more, maybe than that, less, but you're going to be there. And if you can't find any, it's better to know about what time it is, or you can camp out in the parking lot and wait for the truck, I guess. But it's nuts here in Florida, I got to tell you, here in the Tampa Bay area. I can't imagine in Miami. It's possible evacuations, and I do know a lot of folks there in Miami, they're not going anywhere. Unless they drag them from their houses, and they're not going to do that. There's people there on the beach in those condos. Unless you're on the ground floor, I guess you don't have, if you're on the second, maybe you're on the 7th or 8th floor, maybe you're okay, but I just don't think I'd brave it out there on Miami Beach, especially when you got 200-mile-per-hour winds. That would just be absolutely crazy. Jason Devaney came out with a very interesting article this morning in Newsmax, and he is asking the question, he says, could it be the most expensive storm in U.S. history? He believes it. He says Hurricane Irma, a Category 5 steamrolling across the Atlantic Ocean, is on a path to strike Florida and could be potentially the most expensive storm in U.S. history. And according to one expert predicting it, Barclays, James Gilb, wrote insurance companies might end up paying as much as $130 billion in claims related to the storm, which could hit the Miami area this weekend. Given the potential magnitude of the storm, as well as the potential to impact a highly populated area, we think Irma's insured damage in Florida could be the largest ever in U.S., perhaps equivalent to Hurricane Katrina. Gelb wrote per CNBC. He goes on and he says, in a worst case scenario, catastrophe models, Air Worldwide, Karen Clark and company have established a repeat of the 1926 Miami hurricane could result in 125 to 130 billion of insured damage. CNBC noted Hurricane Katrina, which devastated New Orleans area in 2005, could cost insurance companies an inflation-adjusted $50 billion. So Hurricane Harvey ended up damaging more than 50 inches of, dumping rather, and causing a lot of damage, 50 inches of rain on parts of the Houston area last week. And that a study that said that the storm might cost insurance companies, $10 billion, even though the estimated damage could eclipse $35 billion. So they're thinking $130 billion versus $35 billion when it's all said and done. So we're hoping that it goes the other way. But if it goes north, it's going to be a problem. Like I said on my first hour, if you didn't listen to the first hour of the For the People, weather radios, make sure you have them, because if power goes out, you got to have batteries in the weather radio. A lot of people just, they hear it, but, oh, yeah, it's a great idea. If you ever owned a weather radio, it's a great idea. You can alerts for tornadoes and for storms that are coming in, and it's accurate information. In some areas, they have real human beings actually giving the reports, but a lot of them it's intelligent voice recognition. It's a computer pretty much giving all the information about what's going on in counties and alerts and warnings and tornadoes and all that. And with the hurricanes, you want to have those warnings because it's predicted that there's going to be a lot of tornadoes, a lot of tornadic activity associated with Irma. So you're definitely going to want to have a weather radio handy in your home or in your business, wherever it might be. You want to be listening in to hear what in the world is going on. If power goes out at the local radio station, you're not going to be able to get information there, or television stations go off the air all the time. But the weather radio will be on because they have generators and backups and all that. They usually are always on. But radio stations, they usually get knocked off with high, especially the winds they're talking about. So we're not taking any chances here, batten down the hatches. I just got the email and got a text from my daughter, and she says no school tomorrow, no school Friday, obviously, and then the weekend we'll see where Irma's coming, but it could be making landfall. And so we, at the Allen household, we have water, we got food, non-perishables. We got our weather radio. Yeah, I also picked up a case of Evian water, way overpriced. I bet you. I hope it's good water. I don't know. Have I ever had Evian? I'm not sure. $25 for 12 bottles. Big bottles, though. And the guy had an Indian accent. He says, "You like premium water? It's good water, premium water. It's very good. You pay me $25 cash, no tax. You give me credit card. It costs me $26.50. It's $50. I'm like, no, $26.50. Yeah, it's supposed to be no tax on water. But because I didn't have cash, I ended up doing $26 something. I got these big 5-gallon deals for the water cooler, so I have those filled up. I got 3 or 4 of those. Got some other cases of water. I want to make sure we got enough water. You cook with the stuff and all that good stuff, and you clean with it. You just want to make sure you have enough, and I think we're good there. Soups are always a beautiful thing if the power goes out. Tuna, they have the tuna packs that you can have, the little snack crackers and things like that. But, knock yourself out, enjoy yourself. There's plenty of options for non-perishables, and just like camping out for a little bit. And, man, I might even be able to enjoy a good book. We'll just see what happens here. And if it's towards the weekend, unless something really dodgy happens, pretty fiercely here in the Bay Area, then we should be able to go up until at least Friday, end the week on For the People, and then come Monday, we could be back on the air and talking about whatever happened. But we'll see how fast the storm is progressing. If you don't hear me on the air, well, then you'll know there's something going on. But I will have something posted on the web, bare minimal, of what's happening, and I might be able to do something. It might be a little crude as far as the broadcast goes. We might kind of just do a, I don't know. It might even sound like a podcast. It won't sound as good if I do it via laptop, but I could get on and I could do a show that way. Yeah, that's possible. We could do it live.